As we spent that minute of silence, I looked up at the blue ensign on the bow of Haida and thought of my grandfather who fought in that war. And I reflected on the cold that you can see, especially in our Naval League cadets that we're feeling today. He sailed in a minesweeper throughout much of the war, including on the Murmansk run in 1940 and 41. And he always used to tell me that he longed for the bad weather days, because the bad weather kept the U-boats away, kept the Stukas away, and kept them alive, no matter how miserable they might feel as they got through those storms. And I can't help but reflect on the fact that as you look at the pictures of those who fought in the Battle of the Atlantic, so often they were actually dressed in a suit and tie. They wore this uniform to fight, wrapped up under layers of extra clothing, but without the heating and systems that we have today to keep ourselves safe. And certainly without the advanced life-saving equipment that we have. I also reflect on the merchant mariners who signed up for fairly minimal pay to sail across an ocean under the hopeful protection of far too few escorts for much of the war. And for them, there was no way for them to shoot back, nothing that they could do except hope. And worse yet, should their ship be sunk, their pay ended for much of the war, because they were only paid for the voyage. And a number of them were sunk more than one time, sometimes even in the same voyage. So the incredible willingness to continue to go across, knowing the absolute essential nature of the cargoes that they carried, is something remarkable. A courage that I think we all must honor today. I think also of the aircrew, the pilots and crews who flew the Kensos and Liberators and other aircraft far out into the Atlantic Ocean at a time where they did not have the advanced meteorology that we have today, nor GPS, nor anything else to help them find their way home. They flew to the maximum endurance of their aircraft because they knew how important it was to have that air cover in the black pit, the center of the Atlantic, where the U-boats held sway because of the power of air power. And they flew on as far as they could and as long as they could, often knowing that they meant if there was fog or bad weather when they returned to their home air bases, they might struggle to land. But those were risks they were willing to take. And I reflect on the incredible number of Canadians who signed up to serve. And I reflect also on the wisdom of one of my predecessors, Admiral Walter Hose, who in 1923, when it looked as though the government wanted to eliminate the Navy because First World War was over, things seemed pretty good, and why did a small country like Canada need a Navy after all? And so on January 31st, 1923, he created the Naval Reserve with 12 half companies of reservists across Canada, including one right here in Hamilton, which I believe was the 14th of March, 1923. And the wisdom of that decision paid off immeasurably for Canada. Because in 1939, when we had to grow the Navy from the 3,500 sailors you heard about before to the nearly 100,000, almost all of those came from the Naval Reserve. In fact, it was a 22-time expansion of the Navy. An incredible number of Canadians who signed up to serve and went through training, including about 5,000 Wrens who served in that. Backstopped by an incredible force in cities like Hamilton, where we built 123 Corvettes to grow the Canadian Navy. And so this was truly a national effort to win that war. And I can't help but reflect on the fact that that war, that campaign in the Battle of the Atlantic, went on until almost the last minute of the war. The last ship to be sunk was the 16th of April, 1945, HMCS Esquimalt, sunk near Chebucto Head in the approaches of Halifax Harbor. The last sailors of the Royal Canadian Navy to die in World War II died in sight of their home port. The war came to Canada. 44 ships were sunk in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, some nearly at Trois-Rivières, all the way up the river. This was very much a Canadian war, one that we fought here and across the Atlantic. And so I really appreciate all of you coming down to commemorate that, to remember the sacrifices of those who served. Merci beaucoup d'être venu ici aujourd'hui. Thank you.